For the win TCG, this video is for you. So for the win TCG has gone through a string of tweets. One saying that he's getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! One saying that he's no longer getting into it after having to deal with this. And honestly, I feel bad for him, but I'll expand on this here in a minute. And then into him quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! And the video that we see here is him having to face against K9 Fiendsmith. And when we go through his other tweets, specifically when he quoted his original one, he said, "A lot of people have misunderstood this, meaning I didn't do a good job communicating. I'll break down what I'm getting at in this thread." So basically, for these 5 paragraphs, he essentially is just talking about how, he ended up getting a lot of hate because he's playing, Dark Magician, but also that had he done his homework, he might have come out with a better experience. And if he had a better meta deck, then perhaps he would have done better. However, he also recognizes that he didn't have much to really go off of because Master Duel as a simulator doesn't do as good of a job as the Pokemon TCG Live simulator. If you guys remember when there was Pokemon TCG Online, you guys are real. I was playing a lot of Buzzwole GX, I was playing a lot of Golisopod GX, and with the Zoroark GX engine in it, my god, some of my favorite Pokemon of all time back then. Anyways, the TCG simulator right now does a pretty good job actually in getting players on board in the game and teaching them, not necessarily teaching them, but allowing them to go into the space without having a tough barrier to entry. And part of that is based on what For the Win says, which says, Pokemon TCG's client gives you decks for free in every set, and this removes the decision fatigue in figuring out what to invest your crystals into. He brings up a good point. Now, I know a lot of people were, dogging on him, telling him, why are you, talking about this if you didn't even, do your homework and decided to, properly research how to actually play the game, what to do, how to build a deck, etc. But I want to come onto this on a more positive note. For the Win TCG, I understand your frustrations, and I would like to expand on them and explain them to the rest of the community. When someone plays Yu-Gi-Oh!, they have 2 options, of course. They have the more accessible option, which is Master Duel, and they have the TCG. In person, right? Or if you're in the, Asian countries, the OCG, right? Regardless, it's either paper or online. You also have Dueling Book, but, for the purposes of this video, we will focus on Master Duel. If you decide to hop on Master Duel, you realize that there is a lot of decisions to go through before you even grab a deck. Now, when you start, you get hit with the tutorial, and after the tutorial, they give you 3 bad decks to play on ladder. And if you play on ladder with those decks, you'll find right away that there's a lot of sweats even in rookie rank, right? And so if you go through the shop and go through the structure decks, there's not a lot of good options there for you in order to actually, have a good time in ranked. The best structure deck that you can grab, in my opinion, is the Blue Eye structure deck. But even the Blue Eye structure deck alone doesn't do you enough justice. For the deck to be relatively good, you have to play another engine on top of it. You have to play Primite Ether Barrel, you have to play Lordy Load, you have to play Drill Beam, and for a new player, getting these cards in multiples can be really tough. You also have to focus on playing the proper non-engine, such as Magnuma to search for your barrel if you're going second, Molchummy Fuwalos and Max C so that you can, again, play going second, Ash Blossom, which can help you against a Max C or Fuwalos, Veiler because you can search it, and probably the best non-engine for the deck, Dominus Purge, because as long as you can play under this restriction, it is one of the better hand traps to play along with Dominus Impulse, right? You also have impermanence, you have board breakers such as Droplet, and you have the standards that you require in almost any deck, Cross Out and Called By. Lightning Storm, maybe you're feeling fancy and want to go second, what have you, right? As you can see, I mentioned a bunch of jargon to someone who might not know or might not have played Yu-Gi-Oh before, right? What does all of this mean? Well, there's not a comprehensive way for Master Duel to tell you, hey, this is what you should be adding onto your deck in order to find success. Additionally, there is no tutorial on Master Duel on how to play any deck, how to run through a combo, how to establish an end board, etc. Now, how does this compare in Pokemon TCG Live? Well, for starters, just like how For the Win said, you do get a free few decks to play for free whenever you run the simulator, right? Which are probably not the best decks that you can play, but they're relatively competent. So in order to begin playing the game, you have a wall broken through in which you immediately have access to some decks that you can play right off the bat. Yeah, they're not going to be the best decks ever. After all, they're not going to be Dragapult here. Although, I'll admit, I have to update my Dragapult deck. You know, it's been a while since I played. But regardless of the fact, they give you options for whenever you begin playing the simulator. Additionally, the game is all free to play. All the cards that you get access to on here, you cannot pay money for whatsoever. You couldn't even use your credit card if you even tried, because all the cards that you see here that I have, especially the shiny ones, yes, I know they look beautiful, were given to me for free through access through the battle pass and what have you. As you can see here, I don't have to pay anything to access this battle pass. It's all available, and you get wonderful prizes for just playing the game. I mean, look at this Mega Frostlass. It is absolutely gorgeous, right? And that's something that Master Duel really doesn't do for you, because it's all based on a gacha system. You get some gems, you open some packs, and you pray that you pull what you need. Now, if you do a bit of research, you realize that you have access to special discounted packs, which of course I have already purchased. But for those that don't know, if you go through the special section under the shop, you have the 10 pack, which is 750 gems in comparison to 1,000 for 10, with a free copy of Ash, Nib, Droplet, etc., whatever you would like. And then you can add those into your deck in order to play the game. But what's the correct amount of cards that you can put in it? What's the best ratio? All of this is not really told to you in Master Duel. Someone will look at my Dracotel branded list, and if they are a new player, they're going to ask, why are you playing X amount of cards? Won't you brick with them, right? Whereas in Pokemon, basically the name of the game is you want to make your deck as consistent as possible so that when you open turn 1, right? One, you don't have to mulligan, which would mean your opponent receives extra cards for you not having a consistent deck. And two, so that you can increase your odds of being able to play your turn 1 and set up as much as possible before giving your opponent the chance to attack, right? And realistically, there is a lot of decks in Pokemon that prefer going second, but the strategy isn't because you know, have a quote-unquote board breaker. You just maybe want to actually attack so that you could gain an advantage with cards like Badoo, right? But it's very simple in how you start playing the game, right? The most skill that you need to, or the best skill rather, that you need to acquire to play Pokemon in general is how to sequence your turn. Sequencing your turn properly on your given turns will allow you to prepare better for when your opponent has like a card like Iono or stuff like that may interrupt you from trying to progress your board state, you know, into victory. And for Yu-Gi-Oh, that is not the only thing they have to worry about. You have to worry on turn 1. Can your opponent play on turn 0? What kind of hand traps are you expected to play against? When you look at your hand, you gotta pick the best start for every possible outcome. For instance, if I, you know, am playing Sulfur Yummy, and I do have a clip of this on a video, in one example, I had a Cupsy, a Herald, a Sulfur Primoa, and 2 other unknowns. And instead of starting Primoa, I started with Cupsy Yummy so that I could go ahead and play better into the Max C. And guess what? My opponent ends up chaining Max C to my Cupsy Yummy effect to search, and I was able to utilize Herald plus Primoa in order to negate and destroy the activation of the Max C. That is something that I have experience with after playing the game for so long. But someone that is starting to play the game might not sequence their hand properly in order to play against certain popular hand traps. I basically made this discussion video so that For the Win can, feel comfortable in having his criticisms, right? I don't mean to dogpile or bash on him any more than he already has. After all, shunning people from the game when they are actively seeking help ends up doing more harm than good. We don't want to bully people out of our community spaces whatsoever. And, luckily, if you go through his Twitter, you will see, hey, I want to give this game a fair chance. I had a bad first impression, and I think, with the help that the community has given me, I'm going to give it a try. And people like Triff, if we go through the replies here somewhere, he invited For the Win TCG to come onto his stream on Thursday so that For the Win can learn how to play the game better and actually, hopefully, make progress essentially with learning the game. One person that ended up doing this correctly was LC and LJT Magic the Gathering, a Magic the Gathering player that ended up playing Yu-Gi-Oh for the first time, or maybe they came back since they were a kid. I think they had a base understanding of old Yu-Gi-Oh, right? He hopped onto Master Duel, tried it out, got to gold with like a very bad deck, realized that he hit a barrier, and then ended up building Pure Mitsurugi, invested resources, did his homework on how to play the deck, and after about 100 hours, accomplished hitting master rank and learning the ins and outs of how to not only play Yu-Gi-Oh, but how to build the deck, what coverage he needs for certain matchups, and more. And he also goes on the Master Duel Meta website where he ended up also getting a bit of tips on, again, how to build his deck and whatnot. And all of this to say is that if For the Win TCG does his homework, I am more than confident that he will find enjoyment just like LC has here for Yu-Gi-Oh! And so, For the Win TCG, if you need any further assistance after speaking with Triff this Thursday, I would like to go ahead and assist you with open arms, and I would like to extend my hand. And if you ever need help, if you ever need any type of strategy, assistance, what have you, shoot me a message on my Twitter at RGBFoxA. We can get on a Discord call, what have you, and hopefully you can come to enjoy this game the way that I have over the past 15 years. And that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we can make Yu-Gi-Oh! A more welcoming space for new players and the like. I will say one thing though. It's funny that For the Win ended up making his statement and expanding on why he, got uncomfortable playing the game by saying hey, this took 5 minutes on a turn, and there was nothing for me to interact with on this paragraph here. Have you played Pokemon? I know you have. You cannot interact with your opponent's turn either. But I digress. That's really it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.